what I mean, this month compared to last month, we're on track to do 4x.
It's been a big part of of your success is your ad strategy is so heavily built around.
Well, we were open for store hours here at our warehouse for 3 days, and we made the biggest weekend we ever had. It was like $35,000.
If a furniture business is watching this and wanting to kind of know how to increase their average order value, what would you recommend to them? All right, today I'm joined by Brian Martin of Bustaboyz Furniture. So Brian has successfully built a 7-figure furniture business in his early 20s. And Brian, I'm thrilled to have you on and pick your brain and just kind of have the audience learn, how you were able to do this.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited. Yeah, I mean, it's
Awesome.
definitely been a big journey. I know you've helped me out a lot along the way. So
Yeah, so let's just start from the beginning here. Like, tell me a little bit about Bustaboyz. Like, how did Bustaboyz get started? How old are you right now? You're 24?
no, I'm 23. I just turned 23.
23. Okay, so how old were you when you started the business?
Technically, whenever I started the LLC, I was about 20, so it was about 3 years ago. But I've been doing this since I was 17, so for about like 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what made you at 17 decide I'm going to start going and picking up used couches and flipping them?
Yeah, I mean, that's the funny question. I get that like on a daily basis. Yeah, so basically there was my one buddy. I forget what I was doing at the time with him. We did some side work here and there, but one of his brother-in-law mentioned a YouTube video that he heard about like couch flipping. And it was of, Ryan Pineda, like the one that was like really famous for like getting it all started.
I do know Ryan Pineda, but I actually know Ryan sorry, I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but I just had someone else bring him up. I know Ryan from the real estate.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. I had no idea that he had started this whole couch flipping thing because, I've talked about this before, but going into like the marketing side for furniture from running my own furniture business, I was shocked how many young guys were running furniture businesses, which I thought was really cool. And apparently he was like a big part of kind of getting people into that. So
yeah, he definitely made it very popular. But I know that my brother-in-law, he's the one that kind of mentioned the video. And so I watched the video, we tested it out, and yeah, I mean, that's basically what got us started and then just kind of kept happening.
What was Ryan Pineda kind of pushing? Like what was the business model that he was saying? Like just go buy used couches and clean them and sell them? Or like what got you interested where you're like, I think I could make this pretty successful?
So, I mean, one of his headlines were like, oh, I just made like $8,000 a month, and that was in profit from couch flipping. And he was by himself. So it really seemed like there wasn't like too much involved. It seemed like a really simple process. It seemed like there was a lot of like, you didn't really have a lot of capital you need to put up front. I mean, obviously, like that's not stuff I was thinking about at the time. But I mean, I think the biggest thing for me was just like the simplicity to it and how much you can make for the time you put in.
Yeah. Low barrier to entry, which is great. I think that's one thing that appeals to a lot of people about this specific business. I mean, obviously, at 7-figure furniture, we work with people all over the furniture industry. Not everyone starts as a couch flipper. It's a minority of our clients, but it's been really interesting for me to see this like subset of furniture businesses who started as couch flippers. I think it's really cool because people think of furniture as such a high barrier to entry business. They think you got to go rent a retail space day one, go order $30,000 in inventory, and of course that turns most people off.
Yeah,
but I think this business model is really cool because it's the downside is it's going to take a little bit longer to get on your feet, right? But the upside is the capital required is so little. Like if you just put in a little bit of hard work, you
don't even have to rent
something.
You can use your garage.
Right, exactly. I know people who live in apartments who used to live in apartments who started a business like this, and they started, they didn't even have a garage. They just rented a storage unit for $100 a month.
Yeah.
Awesome. So walk me through like, I want to go into like the business side of what you're doing, but I love the mindset that you were 17. So I kind of want to go into that a little bit. What was Brian's mindset at 17? Like, I don't want to get a job. I want to work for myself. Or like, how did you know that you wanted to start a business and like start making money outside of a traditional job?
I do think that whenever it was that early on, there wasn't much of a mindset of, oh, I want to make like a lot of money or anything like that. I didn't really
Mhm.
understand the whole like anything about business at all. It was had nothing to do about the business side of things. It was just about making some quick cash. And also my friend at the time who got me into it, he was a big driver of that. But I would say it was more like I wanted to do something fun. I was excited to kind of like get out there and do something different that a lot of my friends weren't doing, like especially like in high school. But as soon as
Mhm.
I started going to college, that's whenever I was like, college isn't for me. And
Yeah.
so I really decided, I was like, all right, well, if I'm gonna try to like do something that makes like a living, then I might as well at least try to do something that I'm already doing and just do it better to make more money.
Right.
So I was doing
What
Domino's part time, and that's whenever I started really picking it up, and then ended up quitting Domino's.
what were you studying in college?
Math.
Okay.
I was a math major with
Totally different.
yeah.
'Cause I realized school wasn't for me, but I was studying business, economics, business.
Got it. Okay.
And I dropped out with 1 year left because I had started my furniture business and I was like, well, this is what I'm in school to learn and this is successful. So
Got it.
I'm going to leave and just take my chances. So it
Interesting.
sounds like you kind of you started flipping at like 17
Yeah.
and just sort of did it on the side, made some extra money. And then you tried the whole college thing and realized like, I actually see a brighter future in going back to what I was doing rather
Yeah.
than trying to take this skill set and, maybe I get a good paying job, but it's just kind of not for me.
I loved just being able to do my own work and putting as much effort as I saw fit. And I just loved being able to control my own hours. That was like really what it was at the time.
Right. And getting paid for your efforts, right? So
Yeah,
if you work really hard, you make a ton of money. The
exactly.
flip side of that is if you don't work hard, you don't make any money. And I have a lot of friends who have very successful corporate jobs, and
Yeah,
that mindset is just not for them. So
yeah,
always great to talk to people who have similar mindsets. So let's fast forward a little bit. I don't want to get too ahead, but let's maybe start from right now and go back a little bit. So right now, you're at a seven-figure run rate, meaning by the
yeah,
end of this year, you should be at a seven-figure a year
for
business,
sure.
correct?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we're
How
we're
did
towards
yeah.
1.5.
You what?
We're looking at like around 1.5.
Okay. Wow. And so, yeah, we're going to kind of get into like the business model and everything, but what did and I know we've known each other for quite a while now, but walk me back to like what a year and a half ago looked like compared to today.
So, I mean, I would say a year and a half. So we just started selling new, I would say about what was it, like August of last year? But this was not with like a main manufacturer or anything. I didn't really see it going long term. But yeah, we really just started getting. We were in a warehouse. We were in a 3750, so like 3,750 square foot warehouse where we were appointment only, and so we used to pick up, you know, uh, and clean couches on the side still. But we just started running the ads. That's whenever I talked to you first. And, we still we were basically, like, running the ads to set an appointment and then selling them on new stuff because it was weird to kinda run ads to the used couches. Didn't really make much sense because if you had demand, but you didn't have the supply, it was like, "Alright, you're kinda wasting money." Um,
Right.
but yeah, we were doing used and new, setting appointments to a warehouse, and the biggest difference now is that we're store hours, and we sell all new stuff. We work with, like, name brands. Our biggest one right now that we do work with is Ashley. They're super
Okay.
simple, easy to work with. But yeah, what I mean, this month compared to last month, we're on track to do 4x than what we did last year.
This month, so it's August right now. You're saying August of
Exactly.
2026 compared to August of 2025.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So I think it's really interesting. I mean, obviously you identified, how to make ads work for you and you started going from Facebook Marketplace to the ad side, but you also identified that that's like one piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
So what I
Yeah.
mean by that is you realize now supply is actually becoming my constraint.
Yeah.
I can advertise these one-off couches all day, but I can never really create a real funnel around what I'm doing if
Yeah.
I have one of these couches and only one, right? Because I have one and I've made an ad, that's a killer ad, which everyone
Yeah,
dreams to do. And I have 10 people who want this couch, but I only have one.
exactly.
So how long ago did you make that switch where you started to go where a higher percentage of your stuff was newer furniture?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, August is whenever I really made the switch because, like you said, I mean, I think the biggest thing with me is that, like I said, I'd never really had much business experience. My family was never business experienced or anything like that. So I kind of was just doing stuff and feeling it out. I do think the advantage, though, was the fact that, like, I'm pretty good at, like, I'm pretty quick at figuring out, okay, this doesn't feel right. You know, like I'm seeing like the problem like pretty quick. I'm not good at like putting it into words, unfortunately. However, I'm really good
Mhm.
at feeling it out. So like immediately I was like, I naturally just started getting more new stuff, started finding a product that people really liked, started to overstock that product. But then
Right.
I had some like issues with quality of the product. So that's whenever I started working with Ashley, where I was like, okay, well, as long as I can still get it to them within like a 2 week time period, it still had a competitive advantage to the bigger
Yeah.
box stores.
So I mean, it sounds like it sounds like you identified a kind of a new demand and just sort of like your ads started to drive a new demand, and then you just
Exactly.
started to fulfill that,
That's
right?
yeah, exactly.
And having that innate kind of feeling, I think it's like so common in entrepreneurs, and like you said, trying to articulate it is like the hard part, right?
Yeah,
And for me, doing consulting, I've had to learn how to articulate these things. It's like
makes sense.
the best way I can describe it is like your business is like a puzzle, right? And you
Yeah,
just have to identify the missing pieces of the puzzle.
yeah,
Or another way I
for sure.
identify it is like if you think of like, people always say the weak link in a chain, right? Your
Yeah,
chain is only as strong as your weakest link. Well,
yeah,
when you identify that weakest link, now it's time to fix that. And
yeah,
when you fix that weakest link, another link inherently becomes the weakest link, and now it's time to
yeah.
fix that. And that's how a business goes like this.
Oh
It's
yeah,
more like this,
yeah,
go
yeah.
up and down, but the idea is like being able to identify what is really the thing holding me back is actually something that I see a lot of people are not able to do. And
Yeah.
I think your ability to do that is a big reason why you've succeeded.
I do feel like it's so funny because like whenever I think back at like whenever I was first starting, I was like, well, I should have just known. And it's so easy to be like, oh well, anyone in like that actually has any sort of business knowledge, they would have been able to figure that out and tell me right in the spot, like, hey, like that's not gonna work long term, like or long run. And they would have just told me like right off the bat, like, hey, like you need to get your product in line so that way you can consistently sell like one to a lot of people. But like and I've seen that a lot in my business. That's just like one example where just having any sort of business knowledge can really put you in a better situation in life, to be
Mhm.
honest. It's
But
kind
you
of
don't come from a business background. You
yeah,
just
no. So that's
yeah,
why it was kind of like a little bit of a step back for me, like off rip or from the beginning.
right.
But yeah, no, yeah, you're definitely right.
So what do you think it is about you that made you able to kind of have this entrepreneurial mindset? Do you think it's just kind of the way you were raised, or like, because I always find the psychology of it really interesting because some people just think differently than others. And I absolutely think that there's a learned behavior in there.
Yeah,
But some people just seem to be better at it than others. And for a 23-year
100%.
old kid who's about to make $1.5 million this year,
Yeah,
um, I think you've been able to really absorb your surroundings and take in a lot of information. But it
yeah.
also just seems like, you kind of have like a little something that I just genuinely do not see in everyone. So how do you feel? Like, do you feel like it's something you have learned, or you just kind of like, it just kind of clicks with you?
So I've had this conversation, like type of conversation with a few people, and it's all about different topics. I would say the biggest thing to describe it as a whole is like the drive of wanting to win to some capacity, because like you can, and that depends on like what you did growing up. Some people that's sports, some people that's video games. Sometimes it depends on what you kind of like found an interest early on. Like for me, it was video games. That was like my one of my bigger drivers where I was like, hey, I want to win. Like I want to be the best. I wanted to be the highest rank, whatever it was. I think that did carry me a little bit into college. I stopped playing video games, and that's kind of like what made me want to win in something else. And I knew
Mhm.
it wasn't going to be college for me. And so I had
Yeah.
this drive of wanting to go out, wanting to do something, wanting to win in something. wanting to be the best, and that's kind of like what got
Yeah.
me doing and just wanting to put in the work.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I think a lot of people hate on video games, but the thing about video games is they do teach you, and I'm actually not a gamer, but they do teach you that if you want to get good at something, you have to put work in because
Exactly.
nobody, if there might be some games that are an exception to this, but
Yeah.
nobody just goes into a video game and is good at it, right? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
you have to put the work in to be good at it. And it's
Yep.
actually a skill that really translates, especially in the business, because
Yeah.
if you don't put the work in, it's just simply not going to happen. And
Exactly.
you also have to take risks. I think, not to get too off topic, but like one of the skills I see that you have is your ability to take calculated risk and
Yeah.
say, I'm going to invest in this thing or I'm going to make this change. And uh, not because I'm just taking a gamble, but because I've sat down and run my numbers and said, this thing that I'm going to do is very likely to
Yeah.
scale my business to where I want to get it.
It's also really easy whenever you're early on because there's so many other examples of winning proof if there's already an
Mhm.
industry that exists. So, like, you can
Mhm.
kinda look at the ones that are winning for other companies and kinda replicate that as an educated risk.
Mhm. It's also easy early on. There's such an advantage to being early on because you have so
True.
much less to lose.
That's true.
It's like what's the worst thing that's going to happen if you're doing 30 grand a month?
Yeah.
You're going to decrease your revenue by 20%, and now you're only at what is that, 24,000 a
Yeah.
month? It's
Yeah.
like
About, yeah.
not ideal, but it's like you can kind of take these risks. You also don't have 20 employees where if you make a change, now we got to make changes to all the processes. Like I can make a change overnight. It's a huge benefit to being small that I think a lot of people
There
don't
is.
really acknowledge because once you get bigger, it's a lot harder to make those changes.
It is. It's a lot harder to even identify them as well.
Yeah. Cool. So I want to talk like a little bit tactically here about your business. So one of the things
Okay.
I want to talk with you about is you recently this year made a switch from the showroom model into a retail space. So that's a change that surprisingly enough, I don't see a lot of guys make. At least, obviously we work with a lot of brick and mortar stores. I know a lot of brick and mortar store owners, but with the couch flipping, it
The
seems
couch
that
flip.
there's kind of yeah, it seems like
That's
there's
so
sort of
true,
a
though.
process that people follow, right? And
Yeah.
people actually scale the showroom model quite a bit.
They
Not
have.
that there's a right or wrong way, but you said, the showroom model is working, but I think this can work better. Walk me through the mindset behind there when you thought it was the right time to make that switch into a retail space.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple different topics there for sure. The only reason why I say that is because I don't think that there was a time where I was like, oh, you know what, this is like the best decision for me. I think that really what it was is it was like I saw, I guess like the first time where I was like, oh, this could actually work is November because November was the Black Friday month. I think I kind of like skewed a little bit because realistically, obviously Black Friday month is going to be the best month. And I was just like, okay, well, we were open for store hours here at our warehouse for 3 days and we made the biggest weekend we ever had. It was like $35,000, which was like half my income that month. And so I was like, all right, well, what if we just, open store hours all the time, just had more people coming in. And I think that that was like kind of what you were talking about earlier. I mean, this wasn't really necessarily an educated risk. If I were to go back, I probably wouldn't have done it as fast. However, I do think that it worked out for me really well. And it kind of put me in a position where I was like, all right, well, at this point, we just need to get more customers, get better at advertising, and enough people come in to make sure that we can make that revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean the showroom model, the benefit is, you have limited hours, you have
Yep.
less employee, you need less labor. And it tends to be less expensive because generally
Yep.
you're in like an industrial space. The retail space, the benefit is you're open all the time,
Yep.
meaning there's less friction for customers to come in.
Exactly.
Right. Your old model is, hey, if you want to come see us, go book a calendar appointment and come in. And I
Yep.
think there's ups and downs to that.
Yeah.
Having that micro commitment is huge, but it's a
True.
lot of friction. It might not seem like it, but it is a lot of friction to ask someone to go on a calendar page and book a time, and they have to make sure the time works with them. And they have to make sure their time works with their wife or their husband,
Yeah.
whatever it is. So what do you think are the biggest upsides to the retail space that you just didn't see with the showroom model, and vice versa? What do you kind of miss about the showroom model that you don't get with the retail space?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, with the showroom model, I think the biggest thing for me is the fact that it saved a lot of time, the pressure of like employees. You could kind of, the thing is that this did force me into a position, the having the storefront with the store hours, it forced me into a position where I'm like, okay, well, I have to always have somebody there. So it was like, okay, well, I'm going to basically find somebody that can be there all the time, because I didn't want to be there all the time because I felt a little bit limited. So I think that it's really nice to have a little bit more free time and have the time to do things like this, for example. I think it's really cool. It kind of put me in a really good position in my personal life. But yeah, I think the biggest thing about having the showroom hours is just the fact that it was like super simple. You already generally had an idea of what the sales were going to be like, because usually people booked appointments maybe a couple weeks in advance or a week in advance, or you'd know basically that somebody's coming by, and most likely they're going to buy, like 70% of the time. So basically having like more guaranteed sales, or it had expected sales. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, you're saying more expected sales on the showroom side?
Yeah, sorry, I kind of jumped back and forth a little bit. Yeah, with the showroom
No,
side.
that's okay. I think I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So because you definitely don't want to count your chicks before they hatch, but when you have enough data where you're like, okay, every week I get 20 people in my showroom, and on average, 16 of those people buy, whatever it is, 12 of those people buy. When next week you have 20 showroom appointments, you certainly, like I said, you don't want to count your chicks before they hatch, but you just kind of have an idea that like, okay, we should have an average week next week. And so you can kind of like build those projections a little bit better. Got it. That's actually something I never really thought of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. It is honestly like one of the bigger things, because like I don't know if anyone's going to come to my door. Someone might come to my door literally in 15 minutes and buy $5,000. I don't know.
Right. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean that it is true. Yeah, I like that fact too. Like, for example, like I'll go into a Saturday and I'll be like, oh, you know what? It might not be that busy, and all of a sudden I'll do like 20K. I'm like, all right, sweet. So it's pretty cool.
Going to ads here, because I know ads have been a big part of scaling the revenue. Obviously, you did a lot on the back end to, set up the systems and build up the inventory to be able to fulfill the demand. Going back, what was like the biggest aha moment with ads where you're like, okay, it's kind of all clicking for me now? It's just so the audience knows, you actually decided that you wanted to learn ads yourself, and so you went that route. And you decided that, hey, I kind of want to be the CMO of my own business. It's a high income skill that I want to do. And so that's the route you took. So what was like the biggest aha moment for you where you kind of were like, okay, wow, this can like really work and scale a business?
Okay, I see. Yeah, I mean, it was the appointments. I've been marketing appointments before I started advertising them. And it was like, through Facebook organic stuff. And then the first week, or I think it was actually the second week, because they take a little bit. It was like the second or third week, I started having like 4 or 5 appointments booked. I was like, this is crazy, and I was spending like, it wasn't anything crazy. It was like, I forget what it was, maybe $50 a day. And I was like, oh, well, this is really cool. Like people are basically going to my website immediately. I saw how many people go to my website rather than just the organic. So instead of like maybe being like 50 to 100 a week, now it's like 1,000 a week. Yeah, so I think it was really just like seeing the appointments booked, actually seeing the results almost immediately. Like seriously, like actually almost immediately. It's pretty crazy.
Which is rare. That's awesome. Some people see them. Some people see them right off the bat.
Really?
Some people do. You're one of them. I mean, it was fun working with you and showing you the ropes and in the beginning, and having you see those results right off the bat. I mean, if you give it enough time, anyone will really see them, right? As long as you have a good enough product to sell. But it's always a huge plus for people to see them in the first couple of weeks and start really seeing like the tangible effects. Because the thing with ads is they're so intangible, right? You're putting money into this platform and then it's just gone every day.
That's true.
Like $50 a day, $100 a day, and it's like, it's like a lot of money that adds up, especially if you're a newer business. 50, $100 a day is no small amount of money. So
No,
you're
yeah.
spending money on this intangible. And I think in furniture, you know, as someone who owned a furniture business, is like, it's a tangible business. We really value the tangibles. We'll go spend $1,000 all day on inventory because that's something I can touch, right? That's
Exactly.
something I can
Yeah.
touch and I can feel and I can resell it. But to spend $1,000 on ads, we're like, before you know what they can do, you're like, whoa, okay, this is
Oh,
weird.
yeah.
Like this money's kind of gone,
I would not
right?
be
So
where I'm at without ads. That's a
yeah.
fact.
So on the flip side of that, what was the biggest struggle for you with ads where you were kind of like, I don't know if this can work, or what was like the biggest hurdle to jump over for you?
I think that I was always willing to understand them. I did a little bit of research before. I've always listened to like Alex Ramosi and like even before that. And I knew that like he always said like if you can basically put in $1 and get like 36 back, whatever he says, like why not do it? But
That's
I
a
think the
great
biggest
return.
yeah, he says that his lifetime
36x return
yeah,
is insane.
he says his lifetime return is 36x over his lifetime. Isn't that crazy?
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah. Every dollar he puts in, he had over his lifetime $36 back. And then
He's
however,
probably saying like, yeah, he's probably saying the amount of money he's ever spent on ads
yeah,
versus like the revenue his business made, which that actually
exactly.
makes sense because you start getting people from other channels that are
Yeah,
free,
yeah.
referrals.
No,
Obviously, his
exactly.
organic stuff is huge.
And also he
Yeah.
always had like insane like you know how big he is into offers and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is like I don't know if you remember, but whenever we first started running ads, I started doing the messenger ads. And then I started doubting it because the messenger leads were terrible.
Mhm.
They were not good. It was just not an
They're
enjoyable.
they're for a certain type of person. Some
Yeah,
people, that they're the thing with the messenger ads is there are good leads in there,
I
but
bet.
it's like Easter eggs, right? So you got to be the upside is they're cheaper. The
Yeah,
downside is you're going to spend a lot of your day sifting through those and
yeah,
responding to people who it's like marketplace, right? Hey, is this
exactly.
available? And then they don't respond. So it's
Exactly.
similar in that sense. It's a good starter for people who want to spend less and kind of go from marketplace to ads
That makes sense.
because the format is so similar, right? You're used to like posting something, getting messages. This is kind of the same thing. You're running ads and getting messages, so it's like it sort of already fits in with your sales process.
That's true.
But with the money behind it, you're getting a lot of leads, and the reality is 60-70% of them just aren't going to buy from you or
That's
not
true.
even interested in. But the other 30-40% are super profitable. You just have to sift through them and find them.
Yeah, it was a lot of work for sure. And so like yeah, whenever I first started doing that, I was a little like skeptical, but as soon as we switched it over to the website, even though I didn't think my website was ready, it started getting a lot of appointments booked pretty much right off the bat.
Yeah. So walk me through your funnel.
Okay.
Not in detail, but just kind of like
Yeah.
how does someone go from not knowing Bustaboyz Furniture,
Back
because you're
then
a
or
local
now?
retailer, just now, just your
Okay.
funnel that's working for you. So, you're a local retailer in Pennsylvania. What is your strategy to go from I got to get this person who has no idea who I am into someone willing to walk in my store and buy if they're looking for furniture?
So I mean there's the whole ad funnel, obviously. But I do send them directly to my website, which I show like all my product. And then from there, I mean, I always like to try to show like a little bit of proof, a little bit of testimonials. I think the biggest thing for me is a lot of my like funnel is honestly built into the ads. Like each ad has their own story, has their own like immediate reflect on like what I want the customer to see. So I kind of have the whole funnel built into that. So I have like videos about learning who we are, videos about our product, videos about people who have bought from us and had a good experience. And then from there, then they'll be like, oh, well, that's cool. Like they had a really good experience. Then they might go on my website, find something they really like, and they're like, okay, I'm going to go check that out in person. And then we, hopefully sell them in person.
Yeah, so you're doing a lot of the selling. So obviously you're selling in person, but your funnel is sort of like I want to do a lot of the selling in the
Yep.
marketing. I
You
don't
have,
want people to come in. Yeah, I don't want people to come in skeptical of oh, does this place have good reviews? Like, I don't know if I trust this place. They come in with so much information because you've set up such a tiered ad approach
Yeah.
that they come in like knowing you, trusting you. And now
Yeah.
it's really just, I kind of want to pick a couch. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do believe that like the biggest thing that I've seen is like if you want a 10x return, at least in the furniture industry, I don't know how it is in like other industries. I'm sure it's probably pretty similar. But if you want a 10x return on meta ads specifically, you can do that. And if you're not doing that, you're probably just not putting enough work, and you probably know how much work it takes. You probably just haven't done it yet, to be honest.
Yeah, great advice. One thing I want to talk to you about too is your product line. So you mentioned earlier that you sell a lot of Ashley furniture. Obviously, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, manufacturers of furniture in the States. I work with a lot of people and have worked with a lot of people over the years who sell Ashley and are just not successful with it. I would actually say that you're somewhat, I could be wrong, but I would say you're somewhat in the minority with how much success you've had.
I'm
biggest
surprised.
What was that?
I said I'm not surprised.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to get. I want to get your input on this because the biggest thing with Ashley is that it is so ubiquitous, right? So everyone sells Ashley. It's like, if I want to buy an Ashley couch, I'm going to search Ashley couch and I'm going to go to the store closest to my house, right? And if I go to a store further away, it better be a better deal, and that's why I go. So
That's true.
All that to say, there's a lot of price shoppers.
There is.
When it comes to Ashley furniture. How have you kind of navigated that? And, because you advertise to a decently broad radius. So how have you convinced people to buy it from you?
I think people are buying from us. They're not buying the Ashley product. They're literally buying from us. And I think I noticed like earlier on, and I think that this is why like for a little bit, like I had such low average order value, is that I was like, oh, hey, like my messaging, my ads was like, oh, hey, I sell name brands at affordable prices. We sell the same stuff for a less price. But now it's like, hey, like we have all these models here. And then we have like the best service around. We have these 300 5-star Google reviews, 5,000 square foot storefront. Yeah, I mean, I really sell like the whole experience rather than just the couch. I think that's
so you're building your brand.
Yeah. Selling the experience. I think that's the biggest thing for sure. Like at least for me. But I do think I want to get away from just Ashley for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been really cool. I recall you're not the first person to tell me this, but building up your brand. I think it was you who said that you've been recognized before from your ads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll walk into a Walmart, and people will see me.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people would go, well, I don't want that. I don't want to be famous. Like, come on, you're not really famous. Just like you get recognized every so often. There's so much value in that because you build this like micro celebrity status, in your area. And what does that do? Well, you mentioned it earlier in your funnel. What's one of the big parts of your funnel? Trust, right?
Yeah.
How do we do that? Reviews, but also, reviews, client testimonials, but also having your face in the ads where it's like, I walk into the store and like, oh my gosh, it's Brian. I kind of know you. Like, I've been seeing your ads and there's this platform you're on where it seems like you're sort of a celebrity.
Yeah.
True. So I think that's really cool. I think it's been a big part of your success is your ad strategy is so heavily built around branding. It's not built around the products necessarily.
It's really
built around the branding, and the products are a byproduct of that.
Basically.
Right. I can't tell you how many people, you said your messaging and your ads used to be more along the lines of we have the best pricing, right? Oh, we have the best pricing. I can't tell you how many people come to us like my ads aren't working and I have all these price shoppers coming in and they want to negotiate and we take a look at their messaging and it's like, we have the best pricing in town. We'll beat anyone. And it's like, you're teeing them up to come in and negotiate with you. Right.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So you've said, I'm going to get away from that. I don't want to do that, which I would highly recommend people don't, because offering the lowest price in town is what everyone knows is the race to the bottom. will kill your margins, will make you hate the furniture industry, and you will be out quicker than you can imagine. It's not a good way to run a business.
I
So
think
what
that
would be
I was gonna
go
say
ahead.
I have seen that work really well though for certain businesses, but like their whole business is literally around that. But you also have to have a massive selection to choose from.
Mhm.
You have to have a lot.
Yeah, you have to do it. The only way that doing running your business on like lowest price will work is with volume. You have to do an
Yeah.
insane amount of volume. It's sounds obvious, but it's like Walmart, right? I'm
Yeah.
not saying you have to be as big as Walmart, but it's like how can Walmart offer the lowest prices? Well, because they don't really care if they make 4 cents on an item because they're selling 10 million of those a month, right?
Yeah.
So they're actually happy with that 4 cents. So their margins are
Yeah.
tiny, but they make so much revenue that their margins are like good. This is good enough, right?
Yeah.
But for the average furniture business, my audience is doing anywhere between, some of them are just getting started and, a few million a month max, right? And
Hmm.
so that range of business is simply not really going to work on volume, right?
That's
It's just
true.
not going to happen. Cool. So, I mean, what would be your advice to someone who is going from used furniture maybe into new and is looking at manufacturers? Knowing what you know now, would you say, yeah, go for Ashley, or would you say maybe I would advise you to get into something else?
I mean, I think that Ashley is a really good starter. I definitely do not regret working with them. It's also really easy for you to sell because you have a product that is so like mainstream. So if you could always sell it for cheap if someone actually ends up being like, oh, hey, I haven't found anything I like here. And you'll be like, oh, hey, well, I have access to all this stuff. It'll take me about a week to order in, that kind of thing. I definitely do. You can't like not have that, especially in such a widely sold product. But I think that there are a really good starter though, because like I said, that they're so easy to work with. However, I would like very early on, I would just make sure that that is not going to be your long-term manufacturer, because I think that there's a value in having the inventory and also selling different product that nobody else has. I mean, that's like, it's huge to be able to have a product
Yeah.
that no one else has, because that's whenever they're willing to travel that distance.
Yeah, so is that kind of what you're seeing as sort of your ceiling now, is like your local area, and so you're wanting to expand that radius by offering something a little more unique that people are willing to drive for?
Yeah, I mean that, and also the higher price points, higher quality overall, like at higher average order value. That's big for me. Higher quality, higher price point. I really want to start selling higher stuff because I mean you could literally get away with selling 50% of the product that you used to, but just selling it for double the price. And I mean I kind of seen like a lot of the value in that. Just even increasing your average order value. Like recently, my average order value has gone up from 1,500 to about like 2,200. Huge impact. Huge.
Would you mind sharing with the audience like some tricks on how, if a furniture business is watching this and wanting to kind of know how to increase their average order value, what would you recommend to them?
I think the biggest thing is kind of going back to a little bit of that messaging. And I also really mainstream only higher quality, higher end sectionals. And I make sure
Mhm.
that's like more like of what I'm known for. I mean, I don't really have like a higher end like name like Bustaboyz, you know what I mean? But people
Right.
love the experience, and I think that that's like kind of what get allows us to sell them on the higher end stuff.
Okay,
Um,
so you haven't necessarily started selling them additional items. You're saying that you've actually been able to raise your prices and
yeah,
sell to a higher end buyer. That's
yeah,
really interesting with Ashley too.
yeah,
That's that's awesome.
yeah. I mean, no, I don't really sell any additional things, to be honest. Like it's really just, I mean, every once in a while, I think like one of the bigger things is I've been randomly selling mattresses, which definitely has slightly increased it, maybe by a little bit. Um, But no, yeah, definitely the higher end stuff, like not advertising, oh, hey, we got this starter set at 14.99 for a sectional, where now we're like, oh, this set with the performance fabric, non-scratch material, this is going for 2,800. And advertising like, hey, this is a really quality couch, this is perfect for your lifestyle, and not and many other furniture stores in your area have it, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's great.
yeah.
Um, So we're running out of time. So
Okay.
I want to ask you a couple questions. The first thing is, what's one piece of advice you would want to give to someone who's maybe watching this, who's in a warehouse doing kind of the showroom model and is super torn on, is a retail space right for me? How would you encourage them to make the right decision on, do I stay in the showroom model or do I move to the retail space?
I'm convinced I'm probably like, I gotta be like top 3 people to answer this question. Like seriously. Like I'm telling you, this is a really good question. But
That's why I asked you.
I would say definitely like don't rush it. I would say find a proven system that is that proves that it's worth scaling first. And once you see that you have proven the scalability in that system, and all you really need is to open up more availability for your customers, that's whenever it should be right for you.
Mhm.
And also finding something that doesn't make you go out of your way to make that adjustment.
Okay. So essentially, if your true ceiling of where you are at right now is the warehouse model, it's time to move. But
Basically.
I think a lot of people I think we kind of touched on this earlier a little bit. Like a lot of people really mix up what their true ceiling or what
They
their
do.
true hurdle is, right? So maybe they're actually not selling enough at all.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm going to go to a retail space and it's going to be the fix all.
Yeah.
Right. And then all they do is they end up with a higher cost, higher fixed costs every month, and actually just go out of business sooner.
Exactly.
So what you're saying is wait until you actually have like so many people that there's no other choice but have open hours so that all these people can kind of
exactly make it more like mainstream, and some people, I think that is good for them to stick with it too, like Kindred does that really well. So
yeah, I love that. Okay, last question for you, and then I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much for your time. What does Brian's life look like in 5 to 10 years with Bustaboyz Furniture? What is the goal? What are you looking for? What's the why for you?
I would love to set up a really solid system where I don't even want to be the decision maker. I can already see that I can get out of being like the key man 100%. And so with furniture, you don't have to do much work, which I love. So I can really
I think there might be a lot of people commenting on this that you're insane for saying that. You might get a lot of hate on that.
Furniture isn't that much work. It's not. It's the easiest thing I've ever done, I feel like. But I also there's certain parts I don't like. I don't like the fact that there's not reoccurring revenue. However, yeah, so in like 5 to 10 years, I would love to have a few stores. I would love to basically find controlling people that are able to make the decisions without having to reach out to me first, having people that are business knowledgeable and furniture knowledgeable and kind of like know how to make those adjustments to increase profitability without like decreasing my pay. Yeah. Kind of like
so you actually want to get big enough where you're kind of the owner and you can actually pay a healthy salary and have like that COO, have that operator who's kind of making the decision.
I would love for that to happen because I don't want furniture to be my lifelong thing. It's either that or I want to sell it.
Right. Okay. Well, that was going to be the last question, but I have to ask you a follow up now because I think a lot of people are gonna love this episode. And then you're probably going to get a little bit of hate for that last comment. So what is the hardest
Wait, can you hear me? My Wi-Fi is bugging out a little bit.
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. I was just saying, I think this has been a great episode, but I do think you're going to get a little bit of hate for that last comment that furniture is easy. So I want to let you redeem yourself. What is the hardest thing about running a furniture business?
I think the hardest thing, I'm telling you, is that not having that guaranteed income coming into play. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah.
What else would there be?
MRR. Yeah. Yeah. Every month is a new sprint, right? Doesn't matter if you did $100,000 or $300,000, you got to do it again.
Like, what's so hard? You sell you get people interested in your product, you sell them on it, and you deliver that product. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it's overall, it's pretty simple. And like the delivery process is pretty easy too. It takes like an hour,
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's been in the business, I couldn't almost couldn't disagree with you more, but I also respect the opinion because you are right. Like, and I think that's why you've been so successful is like, yes, there are nuances. It is difficult, but when you just simplify it, like there is a simple way to run a
Yeah.
furniture business. And
Yeah,
I do think that's why you've been so successful. I'm certainly sure you're not saying that there's, never any difficulties or that,
no, no,
every
no.
day is a
There,
breeze.
no,
But you're saying
definitely,
like,
definitely not.
I open location, I source product, I sell product, I deliver product. And if
Yeah,
you just think about it that simply,
yeah.
you can scale to what Brian is doing at this year, doing 1.5 million. And Brian, if you don't mind sharing, what did you do last year?
450.
Yeah. So what is
About
that?
3x.
3x,
And
3x your
your
business
chance
in
is
a
over
year.
1.5. That's just playing it a little safe, but
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Brian with Bustaboyz Furniture, thank you so much. It's been so cool to watch you grow. And I appreciate you being the second guest on the Seven Figure Furniture Show. It's been a pleasure having you. And yeah, hopefully we can have you on again and do this again sometime.
sweet. I'd be thrilled.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you are a furniture business owner and you're interested in being featured on the Seven Figure Furniture Show, shoot me a DM on here. You can also go to our website and reach us that way. Send us an email. I'd love to have you on and learn a little bit about your story and feature you. And if you're a furniture business owner who's looking for more information on what we do, check out our website at sevenfigurefurniture.com. So thanks again so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you guys in the next one.